The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, wedged between a pharmacy coupon and a credit card offer. Subject line: "We need to talk about mom." I stared at those 6 words while my coffee went cold. The sender was my younger brother, Marcus. We hadn't spoken in 4 months, not since Easter. When he'd cornered me in the kitchen and asked why I couldn't just let things go. I knew what the email would say before I opened it. Mom's getting older. We need to make a plan. It's time to think about her future. All the careful language people use when they mean it's time for you to step up and do the work we won't. I clicked it open anyway. "Hey Sarah." It began too casual for what came next. "Jennifer and I have been talking. And we think it's time Mom moved somewhere with more support. She can't keep living alone. The stairs are getting dangerous, and honestly, she's forgetting things. We looked into a few places near us in Portland, but they're pretty expensive. Since you live closer and don't have kids, we figured it might make more sense for her to stay with you for a while. Just until we figure out something permanent. Let me know what you think." I read it twice, then a third time, waiting for the part where he asked if I was okay with this. It never came. Just an assumption wrapped in logic. Delivered like a done deal. Since you live closer. Since you don't have kids, since your life is smaller, quieter, less complicated than ours. I set my phone down and looked around my apartment. 1 bedroom, neatly kept, filled books I'd finally had time to read. A small balcony where I grew tomatoes in the summer. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The first place I'd ever lived that felt like peace instead of performance. For 20 years I'd been the one who showed up. The one who took Mom to her appointments when Marcus was too busy with work. The one who stayed late at family dinners to help clean up, while Jennifer scrolled her phone on the couch. The one who called every Sunday, even when the conversation felt like pulling teeth. And now, because I didn't have a spouse or children to use as an excuse, I was supposed to become Mom's full-time caretaker. Not asked. Expected. I thought about calling him right then, but I knew how it would go. He'd use that calm, reasonable voice he saves for difficult conversations. "I'm not saying it has to be permanent, Sarah. Just for now. You know how Mom is, she trusts you more than anyone." He'd make it sound like a compliment, like being trusted meant I had no choice. I didn't respond to the mail that day. Or the next. By Thursday, my phone lit up with a text from Jennifer. "Did you see Marcus's email? We really need an answer soon. Mom's lease is up in 2 months. 2 months. They'd already decided her future without consulting me, and now they were on a timeline. That night, I opened a bottle of wine and sat on my balcony as the sun set. The air smelled faintly of jasmine from the neighbor's garden. I thought about my mother. About the woman she used to be before age softened her edges and made her smaller. She wasn't a bad mother. She loved us in her way. But love in our family always came with conditions, with unspoken rules about who mattered most. Marcus had always been the golden child. The one whose achievements were celebrated, whose mistakes were forgiven. I was the responsible one. The one who didn't need attention because I always figured things out on my own. Except I hadn't figured things out. I just learned to stay quiet. I remembered being 16. Telling Mom I wanted to study art in college. She'd smiled that tight smile and said, "That's nice, honey, but maybe something more practical. You're so good with numbers." So I became an accountant. I spent 2 decades balancing other people's books while my sketchbooks gathered dust in a closet. When I finally quit my job last year to freelance, to carve out time for the life I actually wanted, Mom didn't understand. "But you had such a stable position," she'd said, her voice heavy with disappointment. "Why would you give that up?" "Because I was dying inside. Because every day felt like wearing someone else's skin." But I didn't say that. I just changed the subject. Now they wanted me to give up even more. My space, my routine, my fragile new sense of self. And for what? So Marcus could keep his comfortable life in Portland, while I played nurse and companion to a woman who never really seen me. The wine tasted bitter. I poured the rest down the sink. Friday morning, another email. This time from Mom herself. "Dear Sarah, Marcus tells me there's been some talk about me moving. I don't want to be a burden, sweetheart. If staying with you is too much trouble, I understand. I just thought, since you're not as busy as your brother, it might be easier for you. Not as busy. As if my life only mattered when it could be useful to someone else." I closed my laptop and went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet. Just the sound of sprinklers and distant traffic. I passed a park where a mother pushed a daughter on a swing, both of them laughing. For a moment, I felt a pang of something close to envy. Not for the child, but for the mother's certainty, the way she knew exactly where she belonged. I'd never had that certainty. I'd always been the spare, the backup plan, the one who filled in gaps. When I got home, there was a voicemail from Marcus. His tone was clipped impatient. "Hey, it's me. Look, I don't know why you're avoiding this, but we need a decision. Jennifer's already looking at her calendar to help Mom pack. If you're not going to step up, just say so, and we'll figure something else out. But don't leave us hanging. Step up," as if I hadn't been stepping up my entire life. I sat on my couch, staring at my phone, and felt something crack open inside me. Not anger, not yet. Just a deep, bone-tired recognition that I had spent 40 years trying to earn a place in my own family. And it had never been enough. I thought about all the moments I'd swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. The time Marcus forgot my birthday, but I still drove 3 hours to his daughter's recital. The time Mom asked me to skip my college graduation to help her move. And I did. Because she said it was important. The countless holidays where I cooked and cleaned while everyone else relaxed. And no one ever said thank you. I had been so afraid of being difficult, of being the problem, that I'd made myself invisible. That night, I drafted a response. I wrote and deleted it a dozen times, trying to find the words that wouldn't make me sound selfish or cruel. But every version felt like an apology for existing. Finally, I wrote the truth. "Marcus, I've thought about your email, and the answer is no. I'm not gonna have Mom move in with me. This isn't because I don't care about her. It's because I've spent my entire life rearranging myself to fit what this family needs, and I can't do it anymore. If you and Jennifer want to make decisions about Mom's care, that's fine. But don't assume I'll fall in line just because it's convenient for you. I deserve a life too. I hope you can understand that. If not, I understand that as well." I hit send before I could change my mind. The reply came within an hour. "Wow, I didn't realize you were this selfish. Mom's going to be devastated. I hope you can live with that." I read it once, then deleted it. I didn't need to carry his guilt. The next few days were strange. I kept expecting to feel worse. To collapse under the weight of what I'd done. But instead, I felt lighter. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally exhaled. Mom called on Sunday. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Sarah," she said softly, "Marcus told me what you said." I braced myself for the guilt trip, the tears, the quiet disappointment that always made me cave. But instead she sighed. "I'm not gonna lie, I'm hurt. But I think I understand." I blinked, caught off guard. "You do?" "I know I wasn't always fair to you. I leaned on you more than I should have. And I'm sorry for that." Her voice cracked and I felt my throat tighten. "I don't want you to give up your life for me," she continued. I didn't know what else to do." Marcus made it sound so simple. "It's not simple, Mom," I said quietly. "And it's not fair to either of us." There was a long pause. Then she said, "You're right, I'll talk to Marcus, we'll figure something out." When we hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment, holding the phone like it was something fragile. It wasn't a perfect conversation. It didn't undo the years of imbalance. But it was a start. Over the next few weeks, things shifted. Mom found an assisted living community near Marcus that she actually liked. It had art classes and a garden, and she sounded excited when she talked about it. Marcus stopped calling me. Jennifer unfriended me on social media. But I didn't chase them. I didn't send apologies or explanations, I just let it be. One afternoon I opened the closet where I'd stored my old sketchbooks. I pulled one out. Flipping through pages of half-finished drawings, ideas I'd abandoned because there was never enough time. My hand traced the lines of a charcoal portrait I'd started years ago. A woman's face, eyes closed, at peace. I didn't remember drawing it, but looking at it now, I saw myself. I set up an easel by the window, where the light was best. I didn't have a plan, didn't know what I'd create. I just wanted to start again. That night, I made dinner for one. Pasta with garlic and olive oil, a simple salad. A glass of red wine. I ate slowly, savoring each bite, listening to music I loved as a teenager. The apartment was quiet, but it didn't feel lonely. It felt like mine. I thought about Marcus's email about the word selfish. For years that word had been my greatest fear. But now, sitting in my own space, living my own life, I realized selfish wasn't the right word. Selfish was taking without giving. What I'd done was set a boundary. I'd said no to something that would have broken me. That wasn't selfish. That was survival. I thought about all the people who taught me that love meant sacrifice, that being a good daughter, a good sister, meant erasing myself. They were wrong. Love wasn't supposed to hollow you out. Real love made space for everyone, including yourself. I finished my wine and looked out the window. The city lights blinked in the distance, small and steady. Somewhere out there, other people were setting their own boundaries, choosing their own paths, learning that they mattered too. I picked up my phone and opened a new note. I started writing, not a message to anyone, but a list. A list of things I wanted to do now that I'd stopped waiting for permission. Take a painting class, travel to Mexico, learn to play guitar, join a book club, say no without explaining why. The list grew longer, each item a small act of rebellion against the life I'd been told to live. When I finally set the phone down, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not the desperate kind that clings to other people's approval, but the steady, quiet kind that comes from knowing you're enough, just as you are. I stood and walked to the balcony. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of rain. I closed my eyes and let it wash over me. Somewhere across town, Marcus was probably telling Jennifer how ungrateful I was. Mom was probably settling into her new apartment, surrounded by strangers who'd become friends. And I was here, standing in my own life, no longer apologizing for taking up space. I thought about the girl I used to be. The one who believed that if she was just good enough, quiet enough, helpful enough, she'd finally be seen. I wanted to reach back through time and tell her the truth. You don't have to earn love. You already deserve it. And the people who can't see that aren't your family. They're just people you're related to. Real family shows up. Real family makes room. Real family doesn't ask you to disappear so they can be comfortable. I thought about the future. About the life I'd build now that I'd stopped building it around other people's needs. It wouldn't be perfect. There would be lonely nights and hard choices. But it would be mine. And that was enough. I went back inside and sat at my easel. I picked up a piece of charcoal and started to draw. Not the woman with closed eyes this time, but a woman standing on a balcony, arms open wide, face turned toward the sky free. The next morning I woke to sunlight streaming through the window. I made coffee, strong and black, and sat at my kitchen table with a sketch pad. For the first time in years I had no obligations, no one expecting me to be anywhere or do anything. It felt strange. Good strange. I thought about calling a friend, someone I'd lost touch with during all those years of putting family first. But I hesitated. What would I even say? Sorry I disappeared while I was busy being everyone's safety net. Instead, I sent a simple text. Hey, it's Sarah, I know it's been a while. Want to grab coffee sometime? The reply came within minutes. I'd love that. How's this weekend? I smiled, it was that easy. People who actually cared didn't hold grudges for your absence. They just welcomed you back. Saturday afternoon, I met Rachel at a small cafe downtown. She was exactly as I remembered, warm smile, bright eyes. The kind of person who made you feel seen. You look different, she said, studying my face. Good different. I feel different, I admitted. I finally told my family no. Her eyebrows lifted. The thing with your mom. I nodded. I'd mentioned it briefly in passing months ago. Back when Marcus first started hinting that I should think about the future. And she prompted. And they're mad. My brother thinks I'm selfish. My mom's hurt but understanding. And I feel. I paused, searching for the right word. Free. Rachel reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Good. You've been carrying them for too long. We talked for 2 hours. About her new job, about the book she was writing, about my plans to start painting again. She didn't judge me for choosing myself. She celebrated it. As we left the cafe, she turned to me. You know what? Some friends are having a little art show next month. Local artists, very casual. You should submit something. I haven't painted in years, I said. Then it's time to start. That night I stood in front of my easel, staring at the blank canvas. My hand hovered over the brushes, uncertain. What if I'd forgotten how? What if I was terrible now? Then I remembered something my art teacher used to say. The only way to fail is not to try. I picked up a brush, dipped it in blue paint, and made the first stroke. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even good. But it was mine. Over the next few weeks I painted every evening after work. Abstracts, portraits, landscapes I remembered from childhood trips. Each piece felt like excavating a part of myself I'd buried long ago. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. This wasn't for approval or validation. This was for me. But then Rachel texted. "Did you think about the art show?" I looked at the paintings leaning against my wall. 6 of them now, each one a little better than the last. They weren't gallery worthy, but they were honest. They were mine. "I'll do it," I typed back. The show was in a converted warehouse in the arts district. The crowd was small but enthusiastic, people wandering between easels and sculptures, wine glasses in hand. I'd submitted 3 paintings, all abstract swirls of blue and gold and deep crimson, representing different stages of the past year. I stood off to the side, watching people pause in front of my work. Some moved on quickly. Others lingered, tilting their heads, trying to understand. One woman, older, with silver hair and kind eyes, stood in front of my largest piece for a long time. Finally she turned to me. "Are you the artist?" I nodded, suddenly nervous. "This," she said, pointing to the painting, "speaks to me. It's about breaking free, isn't it?" I blinked, surprised she'd seen it so clearly. "Yes, how did you know?" She smiled. "Because I did the same thing 10 years ago. Left a marriage that was killing me slowly. Everyone said I was selfish, throwing away 30 years. But staying would have been worse." We talked for a while, 2 strangers bonded by the quiet courage it takes to choose yourself. When she left, she bought the painting. "For my living room," she said. A reminder that I made the right choice. I watched her walk away, my painting tucked under her arm, and felt something shift inside me. This was what art was supposed to do. Connect people. Remind them they weren't alone. By the end of the night I'd sold 2 paintings and exchanged contact information with a dozen people. Rachel hugged me tight. "Told you," she whispered. I drove home with the windows down, the cool night air rushing in. The city lights blurred past, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. When I got home, there was a voicemail from Mom. "Hi, sweetheart. I just wanted to let you know I'm settling in well here. The people are lovely, and I've joined the painting class. Can you believe it, me painting?" She laughed, light and genuine. "I thought of you when I signed up. I remembered how much you loved art as a girl. I'm sorry I didn't encourage that more. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. Call me when you can." I saved the message. Not because it fixed everything, but because it was a step. A small acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, she was starting to see me. I thought about calling her back, but it was late. Instead, I sent a text. "I'm proud of you, Mom, keep painting." She replied immediately, a single heart emoji. It wasn't much, but it was enough. That night, I fell asleep with the windows open, the scent of jasmine drifting in. I dreamed of colors and canvas, of wide open spaces where no one asked me to be smaller. When I woke, the sun was streaming through the curtains, warm and golden. I stretched, feeling the pleasant of muscles well used. My apartment was quiet, peaceful. I made breakfast slowly. Scrambled eggs and toast, fresh coffee. I ate at the table by the window, watching the world wake up. People walked dogs, joggers passed by, a couple pushed a stroller, laughing at something only they understood. I used to watch scenes like that and feel like an outsider, like I was missing something essential. But now, I just felt present. My life didn't look like theirs, and that was okay. I opened my laptop and started browsing art classes. Oil painting, watercolors, sculpture. I bookmarked a few, then noticed an email from Marcus. I hesitated before opening it, bracing for more accusations. But the message was short, almost subdued. "Hey. Mom told me about her painting class. She seems happy there. I'm glad it worked out. I'm sorry for the things I said. I was stressed and took it out on you. I hope we can talk sometime." I read it twice. It wasn't a full apology, but it was something. A crack in the wall we'd built between us. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to think, to decide if I even wanted to rebuild that bridge. But I didn't delete it either. Later that afternoon, I went to the park. I brought a sketch pad and sat on a bench beneath a sprawling oak tree. I drew the things I saw: a child chasing pigeons, an elderly man feeding ducks, a young couple holding hands. A woman sat down beside me, glancing at my sketch. "That's beautiful," she said. "Thank you," I replied. "Do you do this professionally?" I paused. 6 months ago. I would have said no, diminished my work before anyone else could. But now, I smiled. I'm working on it. She nodded approvingly. Good for you. The world needs more artists. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, two strangers sharing a moment of peace. When she left, I felt a warmth settle in my chest. This was my life now. Small moments of connection, creativity, freedom. No grand gestures or dramatic changes, just a steady, intentional building of something real. As the sun began to set, I packed up my things and walked home. The evening air was cool, carrying with scent of blooming flowers. I thought about the woman who bought my painting. About Mom taking art classes, about Rachel's encouragement, about the stranger in the park who caught my work beautiful. I thought about the girl I used to be. Desperate for approval, willing to shrink herself to fit into spaces that were never meant for her. And I thought about the woman I was becoming. Someone who understood that the right life doesn't require you to disappear. When I got home, I stood in front of my easel. A fresh canvas waited, blank and full of possibility. I picked up my brush, dipped it in paint, and began. This time I painted a door. Wide open, light streaming through, a figure stepping across the threshold. Not looking back. Just moving forward into something new. I painted until my hand cramped, until the light faded and I had to turn on lamps. And when I finally stepped back, I saw it clearly. Freedom isn't about running away. It's about walking toward the life you actually want, one brushstroke at a time. I cleaned my brushes, turned off the lights, and climbed into bed. Outside, the city hummed softly, a lullaby of distant traffic and rustling leaves. I closed my eyes, feeling the gentle weight of contentment settle over me. Tomorrow I'd wake up and paint again. I'd call Mom, maybe even respond to Marcus. I'd keep building this life piece by piece, choice by choice. But tonight, I just rested in the knowledge that I'd finally found my way home. Not to a place, but to myself. And that was the greatest freedom of all.